Hi, and thanks for joining us here at Rose Quartz Mediumship podcast, where we simply adore anything and everything healing and metaphysically based. Recently, I was sitting in silent meditation, and I had an inner sensation, meaning a sensation that was happening inside of my body, arise. And if you know me at all, you know that I have a really deep love for somatics. And somatics simply means in relation to the body versus in relation to the mind. And so I started to track this inner sensation. And I want to pause and say that I had no intention of doing somatics on myself. I was simply sitting in silent meditation. And when something comes up, in particular, something inside of my body, I follow it and track that sensation, map that sensation until I understand what my body is trying to communicate to me. And I do want to say that if I'm currently working on something and a sensation comes up or an emotion comes up, and I recognize that it is simply a form of distraction to make me move away from the thing that I'm looking at, I will still follow and track that sensation or that emotion. And once I've recognized that it is a distraction, it's a part of me that is in resistance to this more conscious part of me trying to look at a particular thing, then I'll set that on a table and go back to the original thing that I'm looking at. So back to the story. I was sitting in silent meditation and an inner sensation came up. And it was my body's way of saying that there was something that I needed to be with and look at. And so I started tracking this sensation inside of my body, not trying to change it, not trying to make it release or go away, but simply being present with it, knowing that it was going to teach me about me. And as I tracked that inner sensation, I started to recognize that there was an emotion attached to it. And so while I was simultaneously feeling the inner sensation, I started to feel the emotion. And the emotion was a little bit of sadness. And so I was tracking the sensation. I was being present with the sadness that was coming up inside of me. And all of a sudden, this story hit me. Somewhere in my nervous system, there was a story that if my business expanded past its current financial bracket, that I would lose play. And if we know each other at all, you know that play is a core value for me. I love play. I try and incorporate play into every aspect of my life because I love the sensation of it. And so this was a little bit surprising to me. Somewhere I had an experience that told me that if I made more money than what I'm currently making inside of my business, I would lose play. And that was something that I wasn't willing to do. And so that story that my nervous system was holding was in resistance to my conscious desire to make more money. And I'm just going to pause here and say, this is why I love somatics. Because in a million years, I never would have come up with this. I never would have guessed that my nervous system had a story that if I made more money, that I would lose play. Because play is such an integral part of who I am and the way that I move through the world, it would never occur to me that my nervous system was protecting me from losing play. And as soon as I saw it, it made complete sense to me. That story, when I created it, makes sense. And this is a part of me that was really easy to love, because this part of me that was in resistance to me making more money was protecting me. It was protecting a core value and something that I love, which is play. And so it became really easy to love this part of me and honor this part of me. And in loving that part of me, unapologetically, without the desire to change it, but just loving it, I felt it release. And this is the really important part of somatics, is that when you feel something release from your nervous system, holding the space for the new truth to be grounded deeply into your nervous system. Otherwise, you're going to revert back to the original story that your nervous system was holding. And so I really was present with the new story. And the new story that my nervous system is holding is that the more money I make, the more I'm able and capable of playing. That no matter how much money I make inside of my business, I will never lose play. And this, for me, is the power of somatics. And you can take that example and insert anything that's important to you, anything that you're currently working on. But somatics helps you to access your unconscious or your subconscious, the parts of you that you're not consciously aware of. And there are forms of somatics that can work more deeply with the conscious parts of you. And understanding things that are just under the surface of your consciousness. Maybe you're aware that they're there, but you haven't really taken the time to slow down and be present with them. And then there's forms of somatics that help us access our unconscious or our subconscious. Our body is so wise. And I say frequently that the body is the voice of the unconscious. And I think that that is such a beautiful thing, because when we slow down and when we are present with our body and learn to listen in the way that our body communicates, it has so much to tell us about us. And this love that I have for somatics is something that has developed over years. And in the past year, I have dove deeply into somatics in various different ways. And my life has changed for the better because of it. And I know that one size doesn't fit all. And I'm not suggesting to you that somatics is a tool that will be effective for you. But what I'm suggesting is that there is a tool out there. It doesn't have to be somatics, it can be anything. But there is a tool out there that will help you to understand yourself more deeply, that will help you get in touch with parts of you that you don't currently have access to. And whatever that tool is, I hope that you learn about it. I hope that you love it. And I hope that you take a deep dive into yourself with it. I really appreciate you being here with us at Rose Quartz Mediumship Podcast. And I hope that you have a beautiful morning, day, evening, or night, wherever it is that this podcast is finding you.